Hey guys, tonight we dive right into the strange world of medical curiosities, where every old dusty tool sounds like it could come right out of a wizard's closet, or maybe your own junk drawer. The one that has everything from old cables to that random sock you swear belongs to a pair. So, grab your softest blanket and some chamomile tea, because you're going to need it. Trust me, you probably won't survive this without a chuckle or two at some point. Before you get too comfy, feel free to tap like or subscribe, but only if you're genuinely enjoying the calm around here. Tell me where you're listening from and what time it is over there. I love seeing how far this sleepy little journey reaches. Now, go ahead and lower the lights. Maybe let a fan hum in the background, and let's drift gently into tonight's story together. You wake up to the smell of something strangely herbal wafting through the air, filling the room like a vintage charm you'd find tucked away in your grandmother's attic. Suddenly, you're in ancient Mesopotamia, a time when doctors were considered both healers and wise men, with the weight of a village's health precariously balanced on their shoulders. Picture yourself walking into an early medical chamber, a place that, honestly, looks more like Hogwarts than a clinic. Among the shelves are tools that today might only make sense as props in a horror film. There's a whisper of what feels like ancient magic in the air as you pick up a bone drill, a relic that looks more suited to an artsy craft project than to anything medical. Real talk. This ancient tool was designed for trepanation, which is just a fancy word for drilling a hole into the skull, supposedly to treat anything from migraines to epilepsy. And if you're squirming at the thought, you're in good company. Imagine sitting there, trying to remain calm, while some person with zero electricity or anesthesia is spinning a tool like they're trying to create pottery art on your head. Now, you might think that this sounds entirely too bizarre to be true, like one of those absurd "what's in my bag" social media challenges. But it was as real as your midnight search for the perfect dog video to soothe your insomnia. And here's the kicker. Historians still argue whether early practitioners had any idea of what they were actually doing, or if they were winging it most of the time. Honestly, maybe they were hoping that just chucking out some bad spirits was enough, or someone ordered a trepanation on the side, much like forgetting you just did online grocery shopping while ordering another round of takeout because, hey, cravings. Now, don't drift away just yet, because here's where things get even wilder. One day, while some medical student was probably procrastinating, they decided to try something out of the blue, or sky, by suggesting that holding a specific gemstone or plant during this procedure could, enhance its effectiveness. Picture it like mixing crystals and essential oils as a balm for a tech glitch. Sounds about right. And that stuffy old bone drill didn't evolve much until centuries later, meaning patient comfort wasn't exactly at the top of the list. Like switching the theme of your app to dark mode, hoping to solve much deeper life mysteries. So, as you wander through this nostalgic ancient scene, let the buzzing of your phone notifications fade into the background, and imagine instead a time where the most innovative medical practitioners believed they were venturing into the unknown, armed with nothing more than faith and rudimentary tools. You can't help but laugh a little at the audacity, right? I mean, their courage was impressive. Or maybe they were just as desperate as any of us are when we see the magical words, "no Wi-Fi." And hey, whatever they were doing, we'll never truly know if it was more about bravado than actual healing power. Tread softly, hold the sense of wonder deep in your chest, and let the rhythm of a story from the deep past lull you. Whether we forget about Trepanation by dawn, or keep that strange excitement to gossip about during work chats tomorrow, you can be sure that this winding tale is as comfy as the softest socks on a chilly evening. Curl up, breathe in, and lose yourself a little more into the bizarre landscapes of history that wrap us in mystery akin to the glow of fairy lights during a survival binge watch. As you prepare to wander further back in time or nod off into slumber, let that gentle historical absurdity amuse you just enough to drift away into dreams. Isn't history's unpredictability utterly reassuring and cozy? Like your favorite oversized sweater that just effortlessly makes everything a little bit funnier, a smidge warmer, and maybe, just maybe, a little piece of you finally feels like it's found home. As you stretch out further into this world of medical oddities, the scene around you starts to change, almost like your phone's lock screen flickering between wallpapers. You find yourself on the damp cobblestone streets of medieval Europe, a setting complete with villagers in period garb and the faint scent of something herbal lingering in the air. But wait, what's that exactly? It's leeches. Yes, leeches, creepy crawlies that were once considered the cutting edge of medical practice. Imagine waking up and thinking, a leech or two, that'll surely fix my work from home backache, and then actually having it done. Now, isn't that just a leech-tastic attempt at health? In this era, trying to get yourself treated with leeches was like taking on one of those bizarre wellness challenges. Strange, but intriguing. Akin to watching a series of how to organize your life TikToks while lying among your assortment of clutter. The logic behind the leech craze? Bloodletting was believed to balance bodily humors, which was a pretty big deal back then. More divine than sharing an Instagram post that finally reaches 100 likes. What was pretty wild about leech treatments was their supposed versatility. From headaches to sore throats, those little hematophagus critters were as multi-purpose as wine on a stressful Friday evening. Or a Monday. Maybe Tuesday, too. A single leech could be left to dangle from your skin until it was about as bloated as one of those memes you save to send your friends, trying to lighten a long week. But here's where things get funnier. Historians still argue whether all of this leech mania was rooted in actual results, or if it was more like clutching at straws wrapped in medical theory. You can picture it. Villagers sharing survival stories and offering each other leeches like, oh, another stomach knot from 8th century vegetarian stew. Have you tried leech number 5 yet? Let's pause for a moment and really think. How on earth did this become popular? It's a question many people ponder in the same breath as, can pineapples really belong on pizza? Or, should I even try to answer that text message or leave it on read forever? The leeches were often sourced from swampy, mystical pools, supposedly rich with the special properties of dirt and murky water. It's amusing to think of medieval leech collectors venturing into the bogs as dedicatedly as modern-day folks hunt down a limited edition sneaker drop. In your meditation on leech aplomb, wander mentally into one of these age-old leech shops, teeming with these wiggly creatures, gently stirring in their watery homes. You almost feel like one might jump out of the jar. Just the kind of surprise that'd leave you gasping like an unexpected twist in your favorite show. Tell me that wouldn't be a scene to behold, with such a peculiar mingling of hope and skepticism on every patient's face. As the evening drifts on, leeches begin squirming their way into characteristic shrines of fascination. Because why not see them as bizarre relics of ancient remedies? You can sense a world where medicine was a kind of mythical dance between the known and unknown, with leeches dangling somewhere right in the middle. Pretty much like your decisions about opening a group chat that honestly should just stay muted forever. So, are you ready to let the ambiance of this leech-loving vision slip into the background like rainfall on a lazy Saturday? While the legacy of the leech nightlight fades, you can settle into your cozy nook with a smile, understanding the intricate past that resonates as quaintly as listening to the sleepy whir of a ceiling fan. After all, isn't that exactly how the stories from history wrap around us? Amusing and delightful? Before you know it, you'll be floating downriver into dreams, led by the warmth of curiosity for more curious medical histories enchanted by night. Let it all coat over your senses while your blankets cradle you. Just like medicine, past and present, repeating its whimsical chorus of absurdity, just exaggerated enough to leave you grinning as you drift. So gently embrace the eccentric as you step foot into a new, misty corner of time, where history's humorous essence dances like fireflies in your evening muse, softly, fleeting, with glimmers of fable and fantasy whisking you away. You drift further back through the flow of time, the haze of night wrapping around you like a favorite, well-worn hoodie, and find yourself wandering into the high-ceilinged halls of an ancient Greek temple. The air holds a whisper of incense, and the timeless voices of philosophers float around, discussing everything under the sun with the kind of assuredness that would make even the most unshakable of Wikipedia editing warriors jealous. Some might call it fascinating. I'd say it's history's version of sleep talking, or at least as honest as saying, "I'm on my way," while still rolling off the couch. Here in this tranquil pocket of history, there's chatter about the wonders of trepanation, or as I like to call it, the medieval brain poke. No matter how you spin it, the idea of willingly having a hole drilled into your cranium isn't something that exactly screams exhilarating weekend plan. Yet, the ancient Greeks loved it almost as much as we adore doom scrolling through the endless abyss of overstimulating content, hoping to unravel a secret to our own headaches. This atmospheric chamber of knowledge was a safe haven for those who believed trepanation was the literal opening gateway to clarity. Imagine them sitting in circles, philosophical debates afloat, contemplating the pros and cons of cranial air conditioning. Now, here's where it gets juicy. They truly believed this wasn't just a medical procedure, but an enlightening step toward communication with the gods. Talk about a subject worthy of entering your notes app during a midnight philosophical musing spree, right? Historians still argue whether these trepanation pioneers knew what they were doing, or if they were taking a shot in the dark, more daring than trying to guess a password you've forgotten. Again, whether it really cured anything, or was just an extreme opening act of doting on hope, remains a backstage topic better fitted to late-night discussions over lukewarm tea. Honestly, though, these people legit believed that a bit of cranial modification might improve your spiritual Wi-Fi, which might not be so far-fetched, considering most of us have experienced the spiritual anguish of laggy internet. Of course, this ritualistic cranial venture wasn't for everyone. Just as not every social media trend is for every user, the skeptics of the time might have stood around rolling their eyes or exchanging knowing glances that said, "Ah, Why fix what isn't broken? Much like we do with that one reliable sweater we refuse to upgrade. Yet, I suspect, even they might have been a little curious about the results. Long pressed to admit it, mildly amused yet. Picture these ancients watching over each procedure, their faces tense with captive attention, akin to today's watching of the chaotic vibe of a cooking show, while we chomp down on instant noodles. They waited, wondering if their new, mysterious medical experimentation would lead to enlightenment, or just a really bad day with no quick undo button. With the evening growing softer, this swirling dance of curiosity, skepticism, and a rather bold leap into the medical unknown draws back into a hazy tapestry decorating your night's dreamscape. The trepanation tools whisper to you like secrets, transferring through the ripples of time, inviting you to consider the quiet power of human innovation, however peculiar. Picture that surreal scene, the whirring space of an odd yet wholly astonishing era, quietly slipping into comforting familiarity. Allow these echoes of strange histories to cradle you, like small flecks of light swirling through the timeless arcs of memory. You return from your whimsical wanderings, but take with you a touch of wonder, a souvenir of history's eternal mystery, packaged as curious stories that incite a kind of soothing amusement while drifting into deeper sleep. And with that, fold yourself into this quiet rest, safely cocooned under the gaze of stars as your feline friend curls into an impossibly small donut shape beside you. Here, cozy in the warmth of shared strangeness, history lets you wander until soft dreams descend, embracing what was, is, and what may yet to be known. You find yourself moving forward again, the scene around you shifting, like those moments when you switch tabs frantically, trying to remember why you opened the original one in the first place. Welcome to the world of ancient dentistry, where "let's wing it" wasn't just a slogan, it was practically a protocol. You walk into a bustling Roman market, taking in the scents of spices and the faint, somewhat unsettling aroma of medicinal concoctions. Someone hands you a pamphlet, not unlike the amusing quirks of a modern-day pop-up ad, touting the expertise of a local dentist. Picture this. You're about to sit in a chair that, to the untrained eye, resembles a medieval torture device, though maybe just slightly more comfortable than being stuck in customer service loops. This brave dentist has an array of implements. Among them, a tool reminiscent of a goose quill. Yes, you heard right, a goose quill. It turns out that in a world without Novocaine, every day is like spinning the wheel of fortune on whether dental work will be successful or just peculiar. The quill was often used to fill cavities, presumably with a hope and a prayer that it might help more than it harmed. It's a little like switching to an eco-friendly toothbrush and hoping it magically resolves your dental issues without needing floss ever again. Ever thought of quills in your mouth? Enough to make anyone shudder. Kind of like the nervous twitch we get when sending a meme instead of actual human emotions. Historians still debate the efficacy of these early dental procedures. Were they really onto something? Or should this have been filed away under better luck next time? Perhaps ancient Romans popped by for their appointments with a naivety close to the faith we have when updating an app. Crossing fingers, it won't lead to yet another glitchy experience. You might find yourself marveling at their audacity, just thinking, at least we have dentists with focus and floss today. Toothaches were quite the serious affair, but it was more than just bearable pain. It was yet another step into realms of mystical medicine, where everything from garlic paste to chanting was a viable treatment plan. appealing perhaps to those also browsing healing crystal recommendations, figuring, why not? As the days slowly turn into dreamscapes, and this vision of ancient dental antics fades softly back into the tapestry of time, you can't help but chuckle at the parallels between the bewildering comforts Romans sought and the lengths we go to for simple reassurance. Wrapping yourself up, safe and snug, you might even thank the whimsical gods of history that modern dentistry's quills are limited to quirky nostalgia rather than direct experience. In this cozy whirl of dreamy narrative, you gently step back from Roman streets, absorbing the past's blend of awe and amusement, settle into serene contemplation, reassured by the timeless dance of human curiosity, knowing history has so much more to offer as you glide into the peace of the night. Closing your eyes, let the echoes of ancient tools forgotten nestle by the hearth of your mind. Give in to these whispers that tickle like soft laughter, unraveling you into restful sleep. It's here in these contrasts, between myth and magic, vague details emerge like flickering reverie, illuminating the far reaches of sleep's tender grasp, easing you down, deeper into tranquility with every softly sung breath. As you continue on this winding journey through the annals of peculiar medical tools, the air around you thickens with a sense of curiosity, the kind you get opening old boxes in the attic, or when you rediscover an old playlist and remember every lyric as if it were yesterday. You find yourself in a bustling 19th century apothecary, surrounded by walls lined with glass bottles, each holding the promise, or perhaps the illusion, of a cure. The room is thick with the smell of medicinal herbs and a hint of something metallic, heavy in the air, like forgotten myths whispering through time. In this dimly lit room of wonders, one catches your eye. A small, unassuming vial labeled mercury. Yes, mercury, the liquid silver that flows with a mesmerizing grace, but comes with a danger far more nefarious than misplacing your AirPods yet again. Back then, mercury was the not-so-secret ingredient used for treating everything from syphilis to depression. It was like the Swiss Army knife of remedies, useful in almost any situation. But picture this: pouring a bit of this metallic liquid into a concoction was akin to solving issues as effectively as ignoring a dozen app notifications in hopes the life clutter would vanish without effort. The wild part is, doctors actually believed in its healing properties, using mercury in ointments, and sometimes even daring to prescribe it with the conviction of someone recommending their favorite "this totally works, I swear" life hack on a lazy Sunday afternoon. It's one of history's most eyebrow-raising practices, almost as questionable as trusting your phone's morning alarms to get you up when snooze is your preferred mode. Here's a bit of a funny comparison, kind of like modern-day fads. Remember how every other month there's a new superfood miracle predicted to solve all ailments? Kale, activated charcoal, quinoa, elaborate morning routines. Mercury was their version, only perhaps a lot less advisable. Of course, historians still debate whether this madness stemmed from hope or a stubborn disbelief of mercury's harmful side effects. Was it sheer ignorance? Or were they caught up in the madness like we are in the fantasy of being 100% productive every single second? For all its appearances and remedies, mercury often led to more harm than good. Much like convincing yourself another episode at 3 a.m. won't mess up tomorrow's complex plan. Over time, recognize symptoms of mercury poisoning, trembling hands, or Mad Hatter's disease, convinced even staunch advocates to reconsider their approach. albeit a decision similar to contemplating the deletion of social media apps, only to reinstall them an hour later. As history began to wisen up to the consequences, Mercury's glow slowly faded, curling up among the dusty relics of apologetic medicine. Yet, the legacy lingers on, quietly dancing in memory, a reminder of the balance between evidence and hope, even as you drift forward into the warmth of modern comforts wrapped up tight against cold toes. Let that realization guide you into a lethargic, slow breathe as the idea of meticulously navigating history washes over. The past's curiosity and boldness mingle with a future full of promise, ushering you smoothly back to the lull of familiar routines. It's just like a story painting itself, with old brushstrokes on calming pages, serenely harmonizing as you close your eyes against the dim glow of your phone shadowing the ceiling. Breathe in. You might just hear the distant sound of history's heartbeat, gently thriving through the timelines, rhythmically echoing as soft as the night itself. Making peace, you fold into quiet spaces of memory and dream, where even the strangest of tools find rest within comfort's cradle. With eyes still closed, you let the evening stories slip further into the recesses of your mind like gentle waves pulling back from the shore. And just as you're about to fall deeper, you find yourself swaying gently into the 18th century, where the practice of bloodletting reigns supreme. You're right there, standing amidst a sparsely decorated room, its wooden beams and simple furniture offering a kind of rustic charm. The air is filled with the scent of lavender and warm bread, a comforting yet odd combination, reminiscent of those cozy afternoons when you ignore all your tasks and opt for some light daydreaming instead. Bloodletting, back then, was pretty much the medieval equivalent of taking an aspirin for a headache. You'd find doctors standing in their rooms with small knives or lancets, their confidence unnervingly serene, like they were just slicing thin wedges of cheese for a quaint little picnic. Imagine walking into this historical scene with your modern sensibilities, confusion quickly kicking in as you attempt to reconcile the sight before you with our familiar, tiny, yellow bottles, labeled with preferred pharmaceuticals. The idea behind bloodletting was interesting, if a bit unsettling. The belief went that balancing your humors, mysterious fluids thought to influence health and temperament, would cure what ailed you. Whether you were feeling anxious or just extra hungry from that delightful bread baking aroma, bloodletting seemed the answer, much like jumping into an impromptu Zumba class because you've read it's good for stress. Fun, quirky, and downright odd, the tools used ranged from cups and knives to more elaborate contraptions like the scarificator, a device your favorite steampunk enthusiast would find irresistibly charming. The scarificator was essentially a spring-loaded box with tiny blades inside that would quickly puncture the skin. It sounds intense, right? But there you'd be, standing in that room, almost entranced by how oddly fascinating it is. Kind of like when you first discover a new genre of memes that captures your mood perfectly with eerily accurate precision. Historians still argue whether the vast popularity of bloodletting arose from its seemingly simple solution or the deeply ingrained belief systems that gave it strength. Did the patients really feel better afterward, or was it just history's longest placebo effect? Tugging at these endless threads of hypothesis is like pondering whether cat videos ever had a beginning, or if they've always been an intrinsic part of our collective online happiness. And then, let's play it forward. bloodletting's utility started fading as more scientific approaches emerged, shortly before it could fill up its virtual shopping basket with other vanquished medical practices. Yet, just like those forgotten birthday event invites cluttering your digital calendar, bloodletting's legacy lingered, a relic of earnest naivete, masking quaint but sincere effort. As you gently drift back from this tableau vivant, you gather up the last traces of imagination, with curiosity still twinkling like sparkles caught upon a gentle breeze of history's breeze. Cozy up with the whirl of old and new, with a comforting smile stretching across the edges of consciousness, embracing humanity's daring steps forward. Feel the nostalgia carry you softly, like a gravelly tune you've known and loved for years, lulling you onward into the night's embrace. Feel how, in every inch of spirit's ease, you linger beyond the beckoning glow of digital leisure, suspended softly, cradled in the familiar lull of promise and exploration. A placid rhythm finds you, brings a sigh, and holds you tenderly as dreamlight shimmers at the edge of awareness. A light hum tying up loose ends before the deep dive into rest encircles you completely, until the flutter of past and present folds itself in a soothing embrace of slumber found. Returning from your travels through time, you feel the gentle pull of another tale beckoning, this time into the Victorian era, a time of stiff collars, opulent interiors, and innovations as delightfully absurd as getting endearing pet photos from a friend just when you need them most. It's here you find yourself in a warmly lit parlor, the kind where the flickering flame from a gas lamp seems to dance in rhythm with shadows of the past, weaving tales of eccentric remedies tried and tested. In this opulent age, imagine mothers administering a curious tincture to calm their rowdy children, a solution to soothe not unlike today's serene blue light filter, or setting your phone to do not disturb mode. The magic potion in question, good old heroin. It was marketed and sold as a cough suppressant, among other things. You'd wonder if at the time it seemed as charmingly efficient as the thought of catching snowfall on your tongue. Heroin was produced by none other than the Bayer Pharmaceutical Company. Yes, the same folks who later became known for aspirin. Imagine a marketing pitch as enthusiastic as announcing a new, limited edition pumpkin spice latte. They may as well have said, "Have a cough? Try this. It's the bee's knees." And what a selling point it made too, because who wouldn't want a potion that claims to banish bad moods and make sick days a thing of the past? It was thought of as non-addictive, which in retrospect sounds as unbelievable as claiming spending 2 hours scrolling TikTok before bed has no ill effects. But it was adored deeply. From dealing with the daily drudgery of Victorian life to making ticklish throats blissfully quiet, before the side effects knocked louder than an unexpected alarm on a lazy Saturday morning. Here's where historians toss a playful, eternal toss-up into the ring. Did the manufacturers of heroin honestly not know the potential downsides, or did they look the other way, with a wink and a nod like sending LOL in a group chat without cracking a smile? Turns out, despite urgings and later realizations of addiction, these early medicines eventually found themselves swapped out of Victorian pharmacist collections by those more informed. Let the whimsical absurdity of this time wrap around you like a cozy old quilt full of family lore shared over toasted marshmallows and glowing hearths. Think of all the novelties we embrace, how they gently flit between miraculous and mischievous, treating our ills with a mix of wisdom and willingness to try the new. much like turning to your trusty fuzzy slippers when life's uncertainties wisp around your toes. As the age of cough syrups dwindled, new knowledge ushered in softer wavelets of understanding, whispering hopeful pleasures into the wake of modern medicine that began tiptoeing closer. As a soother to wrap the day stress-free, history reminds us there might be silliness, recklessness, and all manner of quirk along the way to full understanding. But with daylight and diligence, comfort eventually arrives where tomorrow sprawls, awaiting the future's hand. So, slowly, feel sleep's gentle insistence in gentle pulls as you unwind under the tinkling stars, horizon's dreamscapes knitting your heart a cocoon of calm. Through it all, deeply nestled in shadow's mystery, find yourself wrapped in midnight's peaceful warmth. Let tales entwine with heartbeats, flowing calmly as you travel deeper into Napsa's embrace, like comforting echoes reaching out through centuries, guiding you softly into profound peace. With the faint echoes of Victorian parlors drifting away, you find yourself gently propelled through time into the bustling world of the late 1800s. The streets are lined with bright storefronts, selling everything from fine silks to peculiar health remedies that promise you the moon, or at least relief from a common cold. Imagine wandering past these shops, each a treasure trove of oddities, with displays so fascinating they could tempt even the most prudent among us to splurge, like grabbing yet another houseplant in hopes it will miraculously become a better roommate. Plunge into the central marketplace, where jars of mummy powder stand proudly, as if the ancient Egyptians themselves had handed over their secrets in exchange for British afternoon tea. Yes, mummy powder, ground from the very wrappings and remains of those who had apparently not fully retired from life's service. It was seen as a panacea, believed capable of curing everything from migraines to more serious ailments, a sprinkle here and a dash there, as if cooking up a potion of eternal youth. This fascination with mummy powder seemed as strangely ubiquitous back then as the latest gadget you absolutely don't need, but still feel compelled to acquire. But you might find yourself wondering, did anyone ever stop to think about the ethical implications? Or were they too busy marveling at the promise of ancient wisdom crumbled into dust? Historians still debate whether this odd practice provided any health benefits whatsoever, or if it was simply a clever marketing ploy spun better than Cinderella's carriage, a deception that we too might chuckle at, albeit with a tinge of disbelief. How much of it was genuine belief, and how much was a captivating narrative handed down like family bedtime stories to lull people into compliant ease? On the quirky side of things, and because, let's face it, history never lacks for the weird, a rather bizarre side note was that sometimes what passed for mummy powder was a complete con. Some folks, fingers in many a pie, decided that plain old cheaper grave dust would suffice, insouciantly passing it through as the real deal. Imagine their crafty smiles, akin to that small thrill when you successfully pull off turning leftovers into something gourmet without anyone batting an eye. Think about it. Just as we modern-day wanderers sometimes find ourselves calmly surfing through online catalogs late at night, hoping to stumble upon that perfect find, so too did the people back then seek out their curios and comforts amidst the uncertain chaos of life. You know that feeling, right? It's like rummaging through a thrift shop, where each forgotten corner holds a promise of fascination and peculiar delight. As these stories of mummy powder and curious cures Fade softly into nostalgia's embrace. Sink back into the familiar ebb and flow of the stories around you. Lulled by the rhythm of endless discovery and cozy reminders, let gentle comfort drift by. Carrying traces of time's whimsicality, slip further into the warmth of dreamscapes yet again, where laughter mingles with moonlit beams, as slowly sleep coddles closely, soothing and deep in its brave walk with history, eternally offering itself to dreams wrapped in time's embrace. As the sands of time continue to drift through your mind, you find yourself floating into the innovative heart of the 19th century, where technology and medicine attempt a grand dance as partners, sometimes stepping on each other's metaphorical toes. Welcome to the energetic era of electric baths, a healing curiosity that ignited the fevered imaginations of many as fervently as unplugging and replugging your Wi-Fi router in hopes that it will behave for once. Picture this: men and women dressed in their finest, stepping carefully into large tubs filled with water, while gentle electric currents promise to invigorate their very essence. The mildly jarring sensation of electricity dancing across your skin might feel a bit like the buzz from scrolling through endless streams of content, leaving a tingle of anticipation paired with the occasional shock of surprise. Electric baths were all the rage, hailed with the enthusiasm reserved today for the next rendition of a trendy smartwatch that swears it'll change everything about your life, except maybe reminding you why you walked into a room. People believed these baths could cure an array of ailments, ranging from nervous disorders to rheumatism, much like the belief in a miraculous to-do list that somehow actually gets things done just by writing it. Yet, whether this innovation did more to rejuvenate health or the bank accounts of its promoters is still up for debate. Did these electric spas truly send some mysterious healing energy coursing through veins, or were they merely the placebo of the age, lulling participants into a gentle conviction that they'd emerge reborn, if only by a spark of the imagination? Historians often find themselves split, wondering whether the baths were half wellness discovery and half ingenious marketing, with fine lines blurring as softly as text messages that promise to be seen but not always answered. And amid the modern glow of electric light bulbs making headway as society's novel bright sparks, there lay the inherent danger disguised in curiosity's engaging form. Despite promising results and intriguing testimonials, the practicality of electricity's embrace was mixed with caution and sometimes even misadventures. An expensive gamble similar to investments in fad desserts promising health benefits, with the hypothetical buzz of electric happenings now fading to a contented hum within you. Let curiosity's luminescence light up distant chambers of your memory, where echoes of these tales diffuse into the gentle haze of mystery. Feel how the calming chorus of time seeps into your bones, lulling you further into the familiar warmth of night, where sleep awaits with welcoming arms. Surrendering to the night's tender whispers, let the threads of electric curiosity inspire dreams spun from tangled timelines, letting them cradle you as you drift, drawn further into history's embrace. Here, in the serene twilight, the stories serenade with a gentle thrum, weaving the past into dreams, leaving your spirit quietly at peace as the flutters of time quietly invite the deepest of sleeps. The gentle hum of history leads you onward, pulling you into the early 19th century, where the air is filled with the heady mix of optimism and incense, an era where experimentation was considered almost as essential as breathable air. In this peculiar chapter of medical innovation, we find ourselves encountering lobelia, a plant known fondly as the Indian tobacco, or, for those without the benefit of 21st century hindsight, something that seemed as miraculous as a quick fix life hack you found on YouTube at 3 a.m. Lobelia was touted as a cure-all remedy, a title that inspired the same skepticism as any infomercial promising to revolutionize your kitchen or make you instantly fit. Yet there it was, sitting like a proud concoction in apothecaries everywhere, a staple in the eclectic medical practice of Samuel Thompson. He believed that the warming qualities of lobelia could rid the body of disease by causing a controlled purge. Much like hoping a full inbox can be remedied by selecting all and hitting delete, praying no important email slips through the cracks. Word spread about its purported virtues, and the plant enjoyed an enthusiastic following, hailed much like a viral dance move on social media, with everyone keen to try and see if they could mimic its purported effects. But, oh, here's where the side effects come in. Tingling sensations, dizziness, even nausea. Benefits that felt more like a poorly timed practical joke than relief. Imagine putting your full trust into it, like standing expectantly before a self-checkout, hoping it acknowledges your existence, only to find yourself at the mercy of error messages instead. Historians still puzzle over whether lobelia's popularity was based on genuine belief in its healing prowess, or if it was simply a testament to the power of Fletcherizing, the late 19th century practice of thoroughly chewing food. Samuel Thompson's brand of medicine, with its heavy reliance on lobelia and steam baths, was the ultimate hot topic, questioned and sometimes criticized, yet always chaining believers with promises of wellness. Oh, the whimsical dance of health and hope, where people often found themselves teetering at the edges of the whimsical and the realistic, much like agreeing to minor software updates that somehow expand into a full-scale digital overhaul. In a world of excessive information, they too were searching for something that could promise the reassurance we find in those oh-so-satisfying cleaning videos that make you almost want to grab a broom, or at least think about it. Now, as the scene fades and the spirit of lobelia settles into the undercurrents of time, let the memory of such earnest endeavors rest softly alongside the echoes of contentment that lull you into tranquility. Drift further into the folds of your cozy cocoon, where each story gently mingles with your breath, binding the whimsical adventure into a perfect companion for peace. Feel the weight of the night's stories release its sweet tension, wrapping you in soothing tides of history's lullabies, curling around your heart like gentle tendrils of nostalgia. As you sink into deeper comfort, let the steady rhythms of time guide your dreams, whispering softly with every heartbeat, inviting you further into the embrace of a restful sleep. As the ebb and flow of these stories cradle you deeper into slumber, the night continues its dance, carrying you to the 18th century, along the quiet cobblestone streets of London, or perhaps some small village lost and found within the annals of medical history. It's here, amid the soft glow of street lamps, that the whispers of a peculiar practice come alive. A world where smoke enemas, of all things, were seen as a flicker of medical hope. Now, of all the unusual remedies to make our list, this one's bound to raise a sleepily curious eyebrow. Imagine the scene. A patient wrapped in layers against the chill undertakes a peculiar therapy by the riverside. The stern yet hopeful gaze of a doctor leaning in with a bellows, ready to administer tobacco smoke right where you'd least expect it. That's right up the rear. It's the kind of absurdity that sparks both bemusement and bewilderment, much like realizing you're absurdly invested in the plot of a cooking show while nursing instant noodles for dinner. This practice emerged as a resuscitation method for those pulled from the icy grip of death, particularly drowning victims. The thought was that the warmth and stimulating properties of tobacco could revive the nearly departed, like a brisk jolt back to life, not unlike my coffee equals survival mornings. Doesn't it make you chuckle to think anyone could have ever conjured such a notion? And yet, back then, before CPR was even a glimmer in medical science, smoke insufflation was considered as plausible as removing all your problems by simply restarting your devices. It was a peculiar dance between desperation and innovation, the kind of shot-in-the-dark gamble we still perform, though with far less intimate puffery. Historians still ponder today how widespread this belief truly was. Was it an idea birthed from earnest attempts to conquer helplessness? Or were they simply pursuing the only spark of hope amidst difficult questions? Questions like, why do we always end up with tangled earbuds? And how did that become humanity's perpetual enigma? In time, scientific musings evolved, and smoke enemas, quite thankfully, found their place alongside the other quirks swept away by the tide of comprehensive modern medicine. As you muse over the peculiar habits of our past selves, it might comfort you to know that even in the realm of medicine, trial often leads to the error, and yet both are valuable. So, as these tales tuck themselves with a gentle finality into the archives of consciousness, let them accompany you deeper into the night. The world of today stands in relief against those bygone moments of whimsy, offering you solace in the knowledge that it's all part of the grand, sometimes clumsy, dance of life itself. Settle into the stillness, breathing in as smoky histories dissolve into the dreamscape, twirling like ghostly embers blown by the softest breeze. Wrapped warmly in your cozy space, allow history's gentle embrace the privilege of rocking you into the folds of dreamland, where tales drift softly through your mind like distant lullabies. Allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper into the profound peace waiting for you on the other side of sleep. Your consciousness drifts further, and you find yourself in the bustling early 20th century, a world lit brightly by the burgeoning glow of discovery and the hum of industry, tightly bound together by cigars and curiosity. The streets are abuzz with promise and posh innovations as you step into the opulence of an upscale apothecary, where every vial and potion appears as alluring as a rare collectible, kind of like those limited edition logs you've started with enthusiasm only to nearly forget they existed. Here, you stumble upon something that seems bright and audacious enough to defy all expectations: radium water. Yes, radium, the element that glows with an ethereal sort of light, casting an elegant, almost magical aura. Manufacturers promoted it as an elixir for all that ailed you, from fatigue to ailments of the spirit. It's rather like those superfood juices that boast miraculous benefits, but whose flavor may make you glance wistfully at your favorite fizzy drink instead. Men and women of this era were captivated by the idea of radiance, and they celebrated the allure of radium just as folks chase after the latest beauty gadget promising to turn back time, as if life had a rewind button alongside uninstallable regrets. Little did they know, the element was a most treacherous guest, disguising itself boldly within glowing water bottles adorned with labels of health benefits in fancy flourishes. It wasn't long before stories spread of glowing drinkers, their bones literally painting their fate with a macabre luminescence. That history started to ask hard questions, like whether innovation should sometimes think twice before knocking on curiosity's always open door. Imagine sipping this glistening water, feeling that mysterious tingle, and wondering if you could channel some superhero-level invincibility, only to realize later that its invisible embrace was more sinister than anything inked. Historians are torn when it comes to truly understanding why radium so deeply fascinated the public. Was it sheer ignorance of its dangers, or the captivating charm of its glow in an age yearning for light amidst shadows? Was it the reckless abandon that comes with the discovery, a notion we know too well when overwhelmed by an impulse to tackle craft project ideas long after midnight? Eventually, as science uncovered radium's secret guise, the world turned its gaze towards safer horizons. But, like a steadfast afterglow, the era's infatuation with radium remained an illuminating reminder of how much we sometimes take for glowingly granted before missteps guide us to clarity. As the allure of radium bonds itself back into the vast memory of history, let it float away, a fading echo amidst dreamlike whispers, lulling you further into peaceful rest. Feel your body gently sway to the rhythm of timeless tales, softly unfolding with every exhalation. Wrap yourself tighter in the comforting cloak of the present, as past lessons embrace those crafted stories that lie just beyond, waiting for you to inhabit them, even within the hush of dreams. Draw close to sleep's tender embrace, where the cozy night, so filled with solace and calm, gently presses against your back, cushioning you as you slip easily into the soundest of sleeps, where time promises always to keep you warm amidst the endless embrace of history's tender narrative. As you wander further into the tender slumber of history, the night brings forth yet another chapter, a bizarre narrative woven into the delicate edges of time. You find yourself transported to the late 19th century in a quaint, rickety village cottage, where the age-old battle of antiquated medicine meets the curious curiosity of everyday oddities. The air is filled with the scent of fresh bread and pine, a comfort reminiscent of moments where everything feels right, much like sinking into a cushy armchair on a rainy afternoon, blanket in tow. On a small wooden table sits a modest jar labeled bed bugs. Yes, you heard right. Bed bugs were once given their unenviable roles not as unwanted guests, but as peculiar allies in the healing arts. Known then as a potential remedy for a variety of ailments, they were occasionally employed in medicine's gambit, much like a well-meaning but entirely unhelpful app that inspires more confusion than it solves. These minuscule insects, usually the source of many a sleepless night, were once, believe it or not, considered a respectable recourse. While it seems utterly laughable now, the ancients attributed many fantastical qualities to the smallest and most bothersome of creatures. What was next? Mice as muscle relaxers, or ants for anxiety? Gram for gram, they believe these critters pack the power of panaceas, akin to those chase the rainbow quests for the perfect streaming service that has the audacity not to buffer mid-binge. Often, these bugs would be used in concoctions thought to alleviate fever or clear blockages, an inexplicable remedy that's enough to make you smile empathically at the earnest ignorance of our ancestors. Historians have a field day with that one, often caught between shaking their heads and wondering what on earth possessed these well-meaning doctors to tinker with bugs instead of, well, anything else. As for whether these miracle bugs ever worked, it remains a puzzling enigma. Did they actually provide any relief? Or did they just introduce a healthy measure of placebo into a time that sorely needed it? Sort of like adding ASAP to an email subject line and hoping it nudges any reply sooner. Take a moment to imagine practitioners of the past earnestly clinking their cure-all jars and adjusting their glasses, likely exchanging bemused glances that's more comfortable through the sepia-tinted lenses of hindsight. It could have been fascinating and frightening, equal parts eager innovation and puzzling mystery. As the notion of medicinal bedbugs makes its whimsical exit, let it guide you gently back to the present with gratitude for the medical marvels that baffle less while achieving more. With the midnight quiet pressing its peaceful weight upon your eyelids, relinquish dreams and abstractions to their rightful place as warm night's companions. So gently carve your niche within the soft folds of history's whisper, where those tender hopes and imaginings of yesteryears invite you into the peaceful haven of dreams. Here you let the stories draw you into the comfort of restful ease, tenderly rocking you through the whispering winds of time. Relish each peaceful breath as it softly settles you deeper into the embrace of a night glowing in promise and the sweetness of slumber's restful touch. The night continues its gentle journey, and with it pulls you into the age of Victorian exploration, where the mysteries of magnets held the awe of true innovation. You find yourself amidst a charmingly cluttered parlor, adorned with all the trappings of curiosity and invention. The kind of space that invites endless wondering, like opening a dozen browser tabs, each one guiding you to a new and exhilarating rabbit hole. During this era, magnetic cures were all the rage, promising to restore balance and vigor, much in the way your best friend insists that eliminating gluten will change your life. Magnets were woven into belts, necklaces, and even insoles designed to align your body's energy and tackle everything from fatigue to joint pain. Imagine walking around with these magnetic accessories, convinced they held the power to tune your body's rhythm better than a modern smartwatch monitoring you at every step. The magnetism fad caught on as swiftly as the latest superfood craze on Instagram, endorsed by everyone from the everyday villager in a local pub to learned scholars who should probably have known better. There was something undeniably alluring about the mystery of magnetic forces, perhaps because they hinted at powers just beyond the visible horizon, not unlike the hope that mystical productivity could somehow leap from your untouched to-do list. Historians still engage in lively debates about the impact of these cures. Did they deliver tangible benefits? Or were they simply wrapping an invisible placebo effect in an irresistibly shiny package? It might have been the New Age healing of its time, akin to us downloading meditation apps we might only visit twice. Trusting, nevertheless, in the potential for transformation. Imagine those enterprising salesmen of old, packing their patent Magneto Miracle in leather briefcases, radiating enthusiasm and sales pitch charisma as they went from home to home. You can almost picture them regaling housewives and parishioners with tales of newfound vigor, wrapping each claim in harmonious promises that sounded a lot like the siren call of an email claiming, "Congratulations, you've won." Though magnetic healing hasn't held up as well beyond the anecdotal, its chapter in medical history speaks to our timeless quest for simple solutions to life's complexities. There's a kindred spirit in those aspirations, the same kind that makes you believe that reintroducing a childhood love of rollerblading might be the fun jolt you need to shake off grown-up stress. As this quirky narrative weaves its way out of your consciousness, fleeting like a half-remembered dream, allow yourself to be carried away by the night's gentle undertow. Linger in the soothing murmur of bygone cures and lived experiences, each whispering through your mind like the faint sound of distant stars. Notice how each breath peacefully anchors you in the present, softly tinged with memories of those who tenderly chased after health and happiness in their own unique ways. Let these shared histories guide you toward the tranquil embrace of slumber, where even the softest of dreams gather you gently into their calm and loving hold. Find rest as the night with its tapestry of tales cradles you warmly, opening arms to the infinite dance of the past, welcoming you into its stories, wrapped in the solace of sleep. As the timeline stretches onward, you find yourself slipping easily into the fabric of modernity. Yet even today, the echoes of history's peculiar medical tools linger like soft notes from a distant song. In the quiet sanctuary of your space, wrapped snugly in blankets that cocoon you from the world, there's a sense of whimsical nostalgia that embraces even the advancements of now. The remnants of past curiosities peek through in today's innovations, refined yet somehow just as fascinating in their newly minted guises. Picture the modern-day array of quirky self-care tools that fill the nooks of your bathroom cabinet or grace the late-night shelves of online catalogs, promising wellness with a wink and a splash of marketing flair. From jade rollers to detox teas that make far-flung assertions appealing with the same earnestness as the magnetic belts of yore. There's comfort in recognizing this longing for wellness is as hearteningly human as it is timeless. A nod to history's whims, where even the quirkiest medical miscellanea of previous centuries finds its echoes in today's digital world, where an app might alert you to get moving or eat, kind of like an eloquent nudge from the future's invisible hand. It sparks an interesting notion. Are we really so different from those who came before us with their smoke enemas and mummy powder? They too craved the allure of novelty, blended with the comforting lullaby of solution, the kind that comes after much thought, with products boxed in promises as hopeful as the dawn. Shoot forward to today. The tiniest gizmos hum with energy akin to 1,000 tomes of obsolete knowledge, once whispered through time. We welcome their wonders with curiosity honed through age-old inquisitions, always with the hope that this might be the answer we seek, just as we do with the serene countenance of a scented candle's light, tinting the room in gentle illumination. Historians, as much as they ponder past, consider the aftermarket life of such curious devices. Did they help? Or was the act of seeking already enough? A balm like resting in silence while curiously replaying old shows you once laughed at, expecting surprises in every familiar quip. Were they tools of health or hopeful manifestations of the dreams humanity has never ceased to chase? Each moment you let the echoes of these tales share their breath with yours. They unfurl their kingdom of wisdom against the soft velvet of night's embrace. Your resting heart aligns with the rhythm of people's dancing souls across the ages, drawn as ever to the next bright thing. Recognize in each gentle sigh the thread that binds you to stories of wellness past, intertwining ever so tenderly with the harmony of today's aspirations. As you drift deeper into the tender hug of night, let these tales return to the whispers of sleep's sweet song. Snuggle into history's warmest niche, and let the enchantment of simple dreams blanket you with peace. where even the quirkiest of echoes curl contentedly in a nook they can call home. In this space, where dreams and tales hang softly in the air around you, feel the comforting murmur of endless possibilities. Lulled by their gentle presence, feel free to surrender to the quiet, to the dark that promises the warmest embrace, and to the peaceful rhythm of a yearning forever shared. Sleep in the timeless fabric of sleep.